So from up here at Almondbury, you can see that ridiculous quarry line there. It's just like some sort of, it's almost like trying to beat White House of Uffington or something. But with a stupid quarry, or it's some sort of snort line or something. But why have that? Why didn't they put a picnic area up there so people could view? And why did they let him build the house and block the most best view up to Castle Hill you can get off? It seems ridiculous. Let's see if I can see the mound from here. Whoa. Actually, if I can see it from this road, I don't know. That's even called the Lacey Avenue. The guy who built the guy who licensed to fortify Castle Hill. The Lacey Avenue. I was looking the wrong way for Ramwood. When you're actually up here, it's actually in between those houses there. It's a little bit more to that side. Wow, it's a great view of it actually. Whoa. Wow, it really slopes up at that left hand side. That left hand side trees there really show a nice kind of shape to it. Look at that. There's not any, I've seen a lot of woodlands and mounds around England, but the shape of that is something different. This is a great view from here actually, out to the ICI where the river is. That's where the Yorkshire Shore was in the old photograph. That's where the Yorkshire Shore was in that photo. It's actually a really good view of, actually this is a really good place to look at the hill. And look at it, just look at the perfect symmetry around it there. It's just so ridiculous. And even the term Brig House. So literally the distance is from that factory there, that's where the river is, that's where they had the Yorkshire Shore, and then there's Almondbury Bank up the top. That flat bit there is a great view actually, you can even see Castle Hill from there. And then down there, that was called Nab Hill, and that's got a very strange kind of shaped, kind of encampment sort of shape to it, kind of a little bit like that Dragon Hill at Uffington, but in the edge. I don't see why a farmer would have shaped it like that back in those old photograph days, because there were plenty of other fields and there was no need to, and they just didn't have the type of machinery then. So the distance, and just, you can't really appreciate the size of it through this lens on this camera. I mean, to be stood here and looking at it, this lens is kind of distorting the proportions, and that up there is where they've got this ridiculous quarry line. It kind of looks like a nab. You know, like they've got Nab Hill and Nab Lane in the nab, and it also looks like a nab going down kind of idiots. Also got like, and it kind of looks like white chalk, but it's not. And that's actually where the decent view is from up there. They could have had some sort of picnic area, but what they do is, why have quarrying to dig more things out, you know, which is, you know, and then they've got a stupid footballer's house. Ditch the lay-by falls into disrepair, and it's really sketchy. Not that you want, you know, it's actually quite a nice quaint lay-by, but it's not smooth. It's quite a dangerous road. And then they put like high risk route on there, when that's the only place you'd want to go to look at it from that decent view. Block the car park off, then the people, whoever, you know, it's the Blacksmith's Arms mysteriously shuts down, not the Freemasons' Arms mysteriously shuts down. and all the conservatory with the nice view goes, and the people whoever's developing the house before they've even sold it gets rid of all the windows and views that are facing out towards Castle Hill and walls them up so there's a little tiny window. Now to me, with the real stone gargoyle footballer manager's house, with the quarry with the stupid nab, with the pub that was really good one that was shut down, and you know arrangements were made through whatever channels, and then it's put into flats that don't even have a nice view looking out on it, is that or is that not trying to remove that view and perspective from the memory? Not unlike here, where we've got, you know, the actual, you know, Hillfort covered in trees, can't see it. To add insult to injury, it did have quite nice fields around it. Doesn't get any recognition or accolade. All the attention goes to like the one hill that's already got the Jubilee Tower on at that time, and then Imperial Chemical Industries comes in and puts chemical plant at the junction of where the river would come past this amazing Hillfort, and then, I mean, let me zoom out a bit, and it's not even that far, just to there. It's, you know, kind of similar sort of thing to Bruna Boyne distance from the river anyway, no sort of fit distance. And then right the whole nice junction bit off with the river with a chemical factory, you know, okay, it symbolises chemical factory, but what does it actually do to the area? Quite detrimental to the area. And then another thing is then they build houses on the top, you know, when Valley's finished excavating, bang houses on the top of there, yet they leave a massive bit of greenery there for school and football, and some woods and greenery over there, and some more woods and greenery, and then the entire top of the hill is still all green. Why not build them nice houses up on the hill so they've got a nice view, right, looking into the nice beautiful valley in the middle? Why not put houses on there, and then if they want to go play football on playing fields, why didn't they have the playing fields on top of the hill so they could play on the playing fields, and like if they got the team they could, like, you know, be playing team sport on there? I don't think they symbolically wanted that. I think they, you know, they got this Brig House in the head, so there's banged houses on. It's not, and they don't even acknowledge its existence. It definitely was wanted to be put away and built up. And you know, when we go back to the stage when they had the Yorkshire show there, right, okay, 17th century mills had started to come up, right, and bang everyone in factories. So they could have started building decent houses around here, spaced out, at that stage, before it's full of working class people who are proud of the area, and you know, they've got the kids and families and dogs to look after, right? Before we even get to this stage, right, why didn't they? They could have used that river, you know, like in Oxford and Cambridge and at Ross and Wye and places like that, and Monmouth, and they could have put some punts on there, because you can use them on certain sections of it. And it would have, it's well known, that's what it would have been back then. They would have been using the river from here in Castle Hill quite a lot and going all the way to Hull. It would have been more of a river importance than Cambridge, and more of a river importance than Oxford, to be honest. But they didn't. And I think that Yorkshire show, I think that Great Yorkshire show was a good, like, acknowledgement of being next to this amazing Hillfort. Well, two massive long barrows in a Hillfort, right? Great Yorkshire show at the bottom where the river is. Then the next thing, that's it, right? Game over, shut down. Chemical factory, bang, bang, bang. Chocolate with houses on the top. What's to be proud of now? When, you know, you could say, oh yeah, well, we're proud because we've got houses on there, but no one even talks about it or remembers it, and you can't even see it properly. You know, it just, to me, does not seem, you know, and I won't mind, but in Wiltshire and in, you know, Glastonbury and places like that, they're kind of really, like, proud of the heritage and stuff. But here, I'm not dissing people, because if you've got your own interest to protect, then you've got your own interest to protect. But, you know, it's like, you know, it's kids and family and dogs first, pets. You know, dogs entered a, you know, competition, pageant, you know, dogs, vets, kids, chocolate bars and ice creams, and people will adamantly post on groups about it, defending their own interests, and you know, heritage is really kind of a bit of a comedy value and joke, unless it's, you know, Huddersfield Rhinos or whatever, or Huddersfield Giants, or Huddersfield Town Football Club, you know, and if you're trying to do something to protect your area and your heritage, you know, to have a nice area as well. They just couldn't care less, and in fact, I don't know why, but they just find a way to say something that I'm doing is wrong. It's wrong. What I'm doing is, you know, we're not all coming together. It's like, don't stick together unless it's football or rugby or, you know, going to buy ice creams. Although I did say that there should be a picnic area up the top of there, but never said they should be selling ice creams. You could take your own stuff up there. You could actually take healthy picnic food up there. But you know, it comes with controversy because there are a lot of issues. It is a shame because it's in even that long ago, really. It's not that long ago in history, like 50 years. It's only within. It's actually there's people now who were playing in there on fields when they were little. So, you know, when grandparents were alive, it's only within the lifetimes of one person, really. So all the grandparents who are alive now, if we go back to when they were born, then before that, there was none of all these interests to protect. So really, it's the one lifetime now who are alive since as grandparents that have any grumbles, to, you know, for, you know, rugby town ice creams. It's all this kind of modern, the last 50 to 80 years of which has created the actual problems that we've got now. So you could say that it's just this generation that are the problems and the issues, you know, you could say that. And that would mean that all the people who don't want to help out, you could actually say that, well, they're the problem. But then they say, no, we're the problem because they want to, you know, actually, you know, if it started raining ice cream now, you know, and dog food, I think everyone would think that it was Christmas. If it actually started raining dog food and ice cream, you know, people would be coming out of their houses and they would think that it was Christmas early or something. If it started raining dog food and ice creams, it's a complete and total, like 50 years. Can you believe that he's done it in 50 years? Complete and total, absolute bombed. Never mind, and I think that's symbolic of that bomb that they dropped in the war. They dropped a bomb at Dumb Steeple, it just missed it. It nearly hit it. And I think that the actual British arranged it, and it was a bit of a comedy joke. It was a bit of a hit at Huddersfield and say, look, we've shrapnelled you, we've bombed you. And it actually means, this is what it means. Been written off. We could have done with dropping a bomb on chemical factory, to be honest. Can you believe there actually was a bench there as well? There was an actual bench, so when you'd walked all the way up this hill, right? And there's the council van. You walked all the way up this hill, because remember, walked all the way up from there, right? All the way up. And there was a bench here to have a rest. And you can tell, because that's where this, that's where that is there. There actually was a bench here. And it's gone, it's not there now. And actually, to be honest, the more that the grass is growing back onto this gravel here, the nicer this little yard is getting. It's for sale, that house, it's got some stables. And the nicer, as this grass is coming back onto here, with this wall here, such a beautiful wall that, you know, somebody would buy this, right, and they'd want to totally knock it down, build like a square wall there. These are the things that council don't appreciate. Kirklees Council won't appreciate this. It's got no value to them. You know, the value is in buying this, knocking the house down, building one 3 times as big, and then building the right, you know, square wall. That to them is value, like that stupid gargoyle house up there. They don't appreciate the actual value of this wall and that grass there. This is what Boris Johnson and his entire government don't appreciate, the actual, to certain people in this country, a large number of people, the value of this wall in prettiness and in atmosphere and beauty is greater than someone building an house there, knocking it down and completely tiling over this and putting some stone gargoyles on here. It's grotesque, and this is kind of what we're up against. And there are Tories who have got houses like this, beautiful ones, who want to protect them. But there are other Tories, unfortunately, who are wanting to completely demolish it and build an airport and not even want to be in this country. They'd rather be island hopping. And when they've finished the jaunting around and they're enjoying themselves, they're seeing the world. When they get back here, when they've been away, then they want to come back to the gargoyle house when they weren't here for 6 months. And that's the problem with the Tories. They not only want to rubbish the country here, they want to then not even be here when they're jettisoning off. And then all the people that they're bringing over is creating problems, social problems. So I sympathise with some of the Irish people who are complaining, because it's, and those other continents are so huge and massive, but there's a bit of a taboo against sending people out from here to populate those areas. They seem to want to bring them here to populate our islands more when they're tiny in comparison, and I just don't know what it is. It's strategic, and they deny there's a strategic element to it. And I don't want to upset anyone from any other countries because of the race, sex or gender or whatever, but they don't understand what our government secretly wants to do, and they won't admit it. They say, oh no, we're helping, we're doing charity, we're giving charity, we're helping them out, we're bringing progress. But it's not. They actually, it's not. They want to bring in and not send out, because when they're sending out people from Britain and they're populating other countries, they're creating more competitiveness in the other countries, rather than if they bring everyone in here, then they're actually reducing the competitiveness in England, right? And I don't really want to have to say it without upsetting anyone, to be honest, or with upsetting anyone. I think the government, and I would challenge them on it, and they'll deny it. You could shackle them, you could put them in a lie detector. Are you trying to increase your own power and dilute down the general certain power areas in the world, so you can take over and be more in control of your own country and say what goes on here? But while you're pretending that you're being more fair and generous to all different countries and giving them positions in courts, in parliament and everything, when actual people who have got a certain intellectual understanding and interest in what's going on, then they end up using those people against us, and it's not right. And they're claiming to fight the war for fairness, they're claiming to fight the war for equality, and in their minds they're not, because they are liars. And I don't care what they say about John Bercow or whatever, they want to beat the competition in this country, and we know that's what the Tories want to do. It's just the boat race. It's the Tory Cambridge boat race. They want to thrash us, and they'll pretend that they're going to help all these charities out, get everybody cheering for him, donating, give himself awards. Archbishop of Canterbury with his little group of people all around the world who've done amazing work for the world. There are people who really would want to do amazing work for the world, but why are they restricting social media access on Facebook? Then they're wanting to take away voting rights unless you've got a passport or driving licence if you don't pledge to support certain companies and businesses. It's alright with what they're saying, but what they're doing, they're taking away rights and power on one hand, while they're claiming to be fighting for freedom and rights and equality on the other. And the blatant, the absolute liars. And John Bercow needs to clear his name, because I think that, he did the right thing to go over to Labour from the Tories, and now John Bercow's being punished for it. And I think that the Tories are the liars and deceiving people, and I think they need to be exposed. And it's the one thing that needs to be done through all time in history. Everyone, I've got no against people if people want to come to this country or whatever. But when they've actually got a planned strategic mission and when they planned it, and when they actually premeditated to do it, they wanted to disrupt and dissolve certain power centres and organisations from opposition in this country, so they could be guaranteed to win every time and not be defeated, so they could get the way that they wanted to get it, the Tories. And that is the way they do it. And if you want to side with a party like that, if you want to give to their charities and believe their cover, believe their, let them pull the wool over your eyes, then do that, but the Tories are not out for anybody but themselves, and there's different things that you can be out for, you know, doing, helping certain people or certain countries, but doing it honestly and legitimately when you're saying one thing and with the what you're actually doing is you say, no, you know, people who do hand over £75 for a new passport aren't going to have the right to vote. So basically that means, and then they're trying to get everyone, you know, addicted to the foods and ice creams and cinema, so they'll be more interested in that and the Mark Zuckerberg goggles vision and buying all that, and then not use the money on voting or passport or driving licence, and then they're not going to have a say what goes on in the country and vote for what party, and then that is when, but it might have already gone too far now. It might have already gone past that point, because now they dropped COVID, then they've got Brexit distraction, now they've got Russia kicking off for another distraction. It's the same strategy every time. The problem that needs addressing and the problem that needs solving does not, it will not get attention and get even addressed, because it's the next distraction. It's their focus on the things that they want to focus on, and Burkow knows that, but he was part of it. But you know, he's got, the thing with Burkow is he's got a certain audience, he's a learned person, and he's got certain influences, and I think that, you know, he did the right thing. Unfortunately, was Labour the right side to join? Should he join Lib Dems? And are Lib Dems even any better when we've got Nick Clegg at Facebook? He's helping Zuckerberg, and they're actually part of the whole big picture and strategy of it, you know, which is controlling political presence on social media, and part of the whole meta plan to another distraction away from, you know, passports and driving licenses. Get that, although, you know, be reducing flights and pollution, but there's still a distraction element on it, and until they can prove that they want to have fair, uncensored political equality on social media without having people boot you off and things like that, then I think Facebook have got a long way to go yet before moving forward with it. So we've got more houses at the other side there. You see, look, they've built those houses there, right? They've built those houses at the other side of the road there, right? I can tell you now, this is for sale here, right? This now is for sale, right? So they'll be sniffing around. The company who's bought that now already now, right? The company who's bought them houses, they've got loads of money, and they'll be on Google or on Google Maps, and they'll all be ready to be looking at this to buy, because to them, this is all they look at when they see this, right, is they look at this and they see all the money and profit from those houses, and they think in their head, oh, we're providing houses for a load more people. And when another one of those gets banged here, then when you walk around this corner, what is the value to Huddersfield and Almondbury as a place to Kirklees Council, right? Is the value more packing people in, and filling your wallet up so it's all packed in like that down there, right? Well, it's all packed in like that down there, right? What have you got to be proud of? What have you got to be proud of, or where you actually are? And if you're already packed in, then you're not going to help anyone else, because you say, oh, I'm packed in, why should I help anyone else, right? You know, I want my ice cream and I want to get my dog some dog food, right? And then they'll fight you for dog food and they'll fight you for ice cream for the kids. Where is the value in the place? Even if you don't live there, I don't even want to live there, but what is Almondbury at the end of the day? If it's not this hill when you come around here, right, and you got the old major centre of heritage in England, which has been boxed in and forgotten, or attempted to, and then you've got I mean, can you not just imagine kids sat there with a picnic blanket out, not even having ice creams, you know, just having the normal food, you know, or some, you know, salad or something. You know, what do Kirklees Council want left? This is, I don't think they just know what beauty is, and that's what they were doing in Kirkburn when they had the nice little park, and then it wasn't enough. They wanted to then put a path in it, almost like that stupid nab path up there they've got with a quarry. It's just like a vision. It's not everywhere in England. It's not like that in Oswestry. It's not like that in Dorchester. It's something, it is Kirklees Council. it's Kirklees Council, and it's Bradford and Leeds and Halifax. And what is different to there is that we have actually got a lot more people they've brought in, and they just want to pack it in and fill it up. And but what's left? What is here? What is this place when you've done that? It's just that everywhere, as far as the eye can see. That you're not making something beautiful or worth having. Like, you know, and the thing is, anyone down there, right, buying all the lottery tickets that they're selling to people down there, because they want to have this house, and they won't develop it. They want to live there and have the kids sat in there having a picnic, right? So why didn't they do that at the top of there? Why didn't they do that at the top of there? Why didn't they put a picnic site at the top of there instead of houses, or at the top of the thing, you know? And then all the people could have done that. But it's just football fields, and then packing more houses in like that. This is going to go soon. And if the council grant planning permission on it, we need to start using these local referendum powers, really, because it's getting to a stage where it's self-harm. And the thing is, you're actually getting people self-harming themselves, and they're actually kind of proud of it, and even got websites showing self-harm off to each other. It kind of is a form of self-harm, and that is really what's happening to Britain, to be honest. It's got to that stage. It might actually even be too late to do anything about it now, because I think it's just gone. And it's like that guy there, Darren Smith Builders. Darren Smith Builders does not care about Murfield or Huddersfield, and neither does Ben Stevens at North Park Homes at Marsden Contracting. He's got an house right next to Emlymore Mast. I was happy in Murfield. You know, even when I was little, when I went to the park at the end of the road, it was a beautiful park. We didn't have a massive garden, and it was a semi-detached. I loved that park, and really going to that park was just like if you went up there to there. But we had nice trees and stuff. I loved that park, and then even knocked that down and built houses. They just can't stop. Look at this. And then that's the show home. And what show home has massive letters on there? Show home, and then it's pointing out there, and that's what that company, these companies here who are banging these up, that's what they've done there to that. It's what they've done to that over there, and they're proud of it as well. And you know, if they did that at Uffington, there'd be absolute bedlam. And there's a website on there called Ancient Ridgeways and Pathways of Britain. And all the people in that group, you know, you try and get help from them, and they are really nice people, and they've got the same interests, but it's kind of like they're only focused on that Huffington and not other places that need the same help and appreciation, because they're kind of not, they've been vandalised. I don't know who can help us. I don't know if the Green Party can help us. I don't know if Liberal Democrats can help us, but definitely Tory and Labour, because Barry Shearman is responsible for this. Barry Shearman's responsible for it. He's behind it. If it wasn't for that hill there, I can tell you now, if it wasn't for that hill, I bet they'd have never built that one in York. They've got that mound in York with that sort of castle fort in the centre of York City, and it's symbolically putting a city there, a big city, and not here. Yet there's just no acknowledgement at all. You can just see a tiny little bit of grass now going up, and it's in the middle of the screen now, just where that silver is on that lamppost, where it starts being silver from concrete. Just to the right hand side of it, you can see a tiny little bit of grass. I've been thinking, right, on those old maps, like all the different names and that. But we've got a name, Brig House. I think at some point, if you want some people to forget something, then I think that what they did is start calling Brig House. Because I think they called this the Brig House. And then with all the local people, you can't just make a whole generation people forget it. So as people talk about the area, they start calling it Brig House from down south, and then just like move it on the map to the next place. And all the local people call it the Brig House, but everyone else around the country refers to it as Brig House, actual Brig House. And then when all the people, local people who know this is the Brig House, as they die, and other people calling it Brig House over at Brig House, then you've changed the target and made it miss, right? So, I mean, else why would it be called Brig House? It's not just like they just didn't invent it recently. There's that name Brig House in the area, the Brig House, so they moved it. They moved the target over to the side a bit, over a few people, generations, and then now they've blocked it in and blocked it off. Kind of ironic, the Brig House with these red bricks here, isn't it? And all bricks around it. It's almost like it's been bricked in. Almost bricks built around it and then bricks put on it. Almost if it was a burial mound, then they've actually been completely and totally entombed and imprisoned by houses, you know, which is not very cool. Now the thing is this, right? With that Robin Hood's grave meant to have been actually over at, you know, the Armitage Estate, which is kind of Three Nuns, Murfield, over there, and that's shooting an arrow almost like from Castle Hill, from the bow of Castle Hill, if it's the bow of a ship. You see, you've got Brig House, it's near enough, but you see that Armitage Estate is you're on the edge into Calderdale and on the edge of Brig House there anyway. Now that sort of is changing over from Murfield to Brig House. So you got the word Brig House. Now if you found from the bow of a ship or a bow to a mound where somebody's buried, a burial mound, then that's the Robin Hood story, because you've got shoots an arrow from his bow and where it lands is going to be buried. It's also like a mound or a burial mound, and it's just over into Calderdale, which is Brig House from Murfield. It's actually in part of my Armitage Estate is Brig House, you know. So that's that, and it's kind of ridiculous. So this part of the strategic planning is to leave a bit of land with a tree in it that had been struck by lightning that everyone would look at when they drive past, with a footpath up it. I should have just filmed the footpath, looked a bit better from over there, you can't see the windy footpath. In fact, even when we were on the bus, people used to remark it, oh, it's the tree of death or whatever, in the middle. It's actually been fallen to bits now even. Another distraction of a thing to look at in a field that takes away the attention from that Brig House, as well as the other land where the trees from the air, when they could have put houses on that. Oh, want somewhere to walk? Well, how about walk up the big ancient site? There are men in rooms with aerial maps of the air from planes. There are strategic planning rooms, like war rooms, but for what we're going to do with the country, actually inside the country. And there is advanced planning to try to, as Jeremy Vine said on his radio show, there are no organisations and companies now that are in opposition, there are only people. So like John William Ramsden didn't want a tower on there, and that is why social media and things like that can eliminate or remove these people who are a hindrance to the mission of those in charge. And the worst thing is that they are using charity, using goodwill, using television. We're amazing, we're great. Look at all these people cheering, the good cause, the good cause, the good cause, while secretly they are removing opposition through diverse and arbitrary means, like Boris Johnson. We'll eliminate all of those who vote against us or haven't got any money, so only businessmen, corporate and rich will vote, except the ones who have been addicted to us products, who will be actually helping us and funding us, like Jeff Bezos. Well, you gave us all the money, thanks for sending us into space, you bought products, and now you can't vote against his corporate plans because you can't have a vote unless you buy Richard Branson's aeroplane tickets or Mark Zuckerberg's visor goggles when you won't be going on holiday, but you won't be voting with either. Well, you'll be only voting, you won't be voting if you choose the visor goggles and stay at home, because you won't bought the passport. And then Mark gets rich and becomes a millionaire if you're staying at home and not polluting the planet with the aeroplane fuel. Instead, you pollute the planet with all the massive pile of goggles. Unless they're all recyclable, but then it's still resources to recycle them. So, it's almost like a Mark's new smileys that he's put on G-board. Mark's new G-board smileys with the like teary eyes. I wouldn't mind, but what are they doing? You're trying to say you can't petition about people who've done something wrong when you can. Trying to say that you can't petition certain departments when you can. Trying to say that we're not going to debate a petition when all petitions were debated that reached the target. He's then taking away your rights to protest, then saying you can't even vote. It's not what he's saying. What is he doing? He's removing opposition. And that's not what the objective of democracy is. Corporate do no longer want a democracy of voters. The company now has purchased the government. The company owns the country. The company. And it's almost like the corporate has replaced the royal. The royal is no longer, we're not having Wills, Charles and Mags anymore, Lizzie. We're going to have the chairman, the executive of the board of directors instead of the royal family. They're transforming the royal family into the business, into the company, the family. Well, it's not even a family anymore, it's just a company.